We're going to create a simple ankle bracelet today. We're using 11-0 round Miyuki beads, 3mm Precocia crystals, bicones, and 8-pound Fireline. I want you to cut 54 inches of your 8-pound Fireline, and at the 18-inch mark, I want you to put a stop bead. So we have 18 inches of thread going past the stop bead, because we're going to start with the first set of crystals and work our way across, and then we'll come back and we'll finish the back side of the bracelet. So pick up 4 of our 3mm bicones, bring them down. You want to go through them all again, once again, and form a little circle. Now, if it's not right on top of this bead, that's fine, because that was just a marker. That one doesn't have to be exact. So we've formed our little circle, and I want to go up one bead, one more bead. And at this point, I really don't need this red bead anymore, so I'm going to pull it off to get it out of the way. Now we're going to take the silver beads and we're going to go into each one of the crystals. Now your work should look like this. We want to be opposite this thread because we're going to continue the bracelet going this way. So go through the first bead next to your thread, the next crystal, and the next bead. Now we're going to pick up 2 silver beads, and we're going to go back through this one silver bead this way. So you'll go from behind, come through again, and let this fall into place. They'll fall into place next to one another. And you want to come back up this one bead on top so that you're facing outward. Your thread path is going outward. The reason we're doing this is because now I'm going to string these sections between these crystals, and when we come back, we'll come back in and pick this up, so you'll form this nice Y effect, as opposed to just having one bead that's not attached. So we pick up 5 of these silver crystals and 1 pink. And we just bring them down like we're just stringing the beads at this point. And we're going to pick up another 5 and bring them down. So we've now made this part. Now we need to do 2 more, because we're going to have to put 2 on the other side going into the crystals. So we pick up 2, and you go through the one bead, not the top bead, but the one right below it. Now, if you put your thumbnail right here where your beads are and where your thread is, when you pull it through, you can push down so that it comes out nice and tight, and you don't have string. You don't have thread that you can see. Now we pick up a single. We'll pick up a single bead, and we'll go down here, follow the thread path down the bead next to where you've come out, and then back up. And use your thumbnail to push these down. and then in through the bead we just put on. Excuse me, got caught in my thumb, in my finger. Now we're in the position to put on 4 more crystals. So we pick up 4 bicones. We're going to pull them down. And we're going to go into the last bicone, the last crystal, and string through again. Using your thumb to pull these tight so that you get them right up against this bead. Now I'm going to flip this over because my thread path is going down and I prefer to work up. So as I flip this over, I'm working up. I'm going to go through the single bead. And now I'm going to put on 3 more. I'll first go through the crystal. So go through this crystal, because this becomes the one of the 4 beads. Go through that crystal, now put on the additional 3 beads. Now you'll notice when you finish putting on the 3 beads, you're down on this side of your ankle bracelet and you need to continue the thread, you need to continue this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back through our single bead and crystal, and we're going to work our way back over opposite this set of beads. So as we work our way opposite, we come back out to the single bead. Now we have to do a double because we're going to do another crystal. So we do 2. We go back through the bead we just came out of. And I'm going to flip this over because I like to go up. And I'm going to go up, follow the thread path. Thread's coming out this side, so we go up the bead right next to it. And now we're ready to put on the next set. So we're going to do 5. And 1 pink one. And another 5. Now we've come to the point where we need to add 2 more to bring in the next crystal. And we pick up 2 silver beads and add them. And we're going to go back through, not the last bead again, but the one behind that. So we'll go back through this bead, and I'm leaving this in because I dropped it down. I'm carefully pulling this down. I want these beads to be tight, but as I kept saying before, use your thumbnail and pull on this, and you can easily recover if you have let go of the beads and they got a little slack. We have to add a single crystal, silver bead, before we can add our crystals. And we'll come back up the other side. And through the center again. Don't forget to go through the center. Otherwise, when you come around with your crystals, it looks a little odd. So we're going to put on 4 crystals. And again, I'm going to go through the 4. I'm going to use my thumb and pull them tight. And I can get the last bit of tight by going, I'm going to go through the silver bead that's sticking up, the one that was the single, and through a crystal. And now when I pull, see, that falls into place. It's nice and snug. Add 3 crystals, 3 silver beads to the crystals. We end up on the wrong side again, so we want to go through this one silver bead, through a crystal, through the silver bead. Do it in 2 steps if it doesn't catch. Through a crystal, and through a silver bead. So this is what it should look like. Right, now we have to make our final Y for the crystal area. So we pick up 2 beads and we go back through the bead we just came out of. And I'm going to flip that around again, and I'm going to go up, following the thread path. Now I'm ready to start with the string across here. So it's 5 and 1. So I'm going to pick up 5 silver beads, and for every 5 silver beads, I'm going to put on a pink bead. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We want 2 more, so we'll take 2 more silver beads to get that 1/2 inch. And now we're going to use the same technique that we did a few minutes ago with the double beads. So but this time we're going to take 1 bead. I'm going to take my clasp, and I'm using a ball and hitch clasp. I'm going to put my needle through my clasp, and then I'm going to pick up the other bead. And when I pull this down, the clasp is going to be between the 2 beads that I want to go back through. So I'll go back through the 1 bead behind the clasp, through the clasp, and through the other bead. And that's going to form this little double again. And I'm going to do this a second time because I like to have at least 2 threads going through the clasp. Now we're going to make our way back. So what we want to do is we're going to go through the bead, the open bead, following the thread path, and now the one right under it, the bead right under it, you have the pink bead and 2 silver ones. So you want to take that top silver one right here, and you want to start threading your way back through the bracelet. Now be careful to pick up all of your beads so you don't have any that you have thread dangling. So you thread through here. You can generally feel, but do check. And as you pull this, see what happens? It makes a nice little Y. It makes a nice little finish. So I have to come in here. And the tighter you pull, make this chain, the harder it is to get the needles back in. So we're going to come back through, and I'm just following up until I get not to the very last one, not to the last bead, but the one before that. The one before, I want you to be right before the double. And now you're going to go through that one side that was left open, and that'll form a nice Y. It's gonna, and we're gonna, when we get through, follow the bead path, follow the thread path. So we have to go through this bead. When we get through this one in the next crystal, you'll be able to see it very, very well. And come through the crystal. We're going to go all the way around here, so if you come through and get the next bead, that's fine. But I just wanted to stop so you could see. See how that forms that nice Y? Nice finish look. You don't have a bead hanging. So that's how we get to go all the way around and come back, and we'll have two. I'm going to flip this over so I can work up. We'll have two threads through all of the areas of the bracelet. So we come up. Now we do go through this one bead, and we're going to come back around. We're going to go through this one, the one that's hanging out, and we're going to pair that up. We're going to go right underneath, and we're going to pair that up with this side. What's on, the ones on this side, remember, come up just before the double. And when you pull that, see the nice finish? And we're going to continue around. Come back. You have to go back through this silver bead. Go through the one that's hanging out unattached. Pick up the rest of the beads here up to the double on the next one. And through the second, again, second bead that doesn't have an attachment, and through single, and come around. Now I'm going to just go through this bead for the moment. We're going to have to build the second side, so I'm going to cut over and start on our second side. Now the first thing we want to do for the second side is we have to create our little Y. So we have to go through the silver bead. We have to pick up two silvers, go back through, come up, trying to do this without flipping it over so you can see which bead to come up. But I would normally flip that over. Again, I'm using my thumb to make sure that those go down. And I'm going to count out the same number of beads here, and I'll be right back when I get to the clasp. I've put on my 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pink beads, and 2 at the very end to make it the 1/2 inch. Now we've got to add 2 more for the clasp. Now we've got the other side of the clasp on the other side of the bracelet. So I want to add 1 bead, the clasp, and I'm going to separate these at this point because this one doesn't have to have a direction. And we can add 1 more bead. And we're going to come through the bead below the clasp and through the one above, so through the 2 beads and the clasp. And as you pull down, use your nail to secure this, make this tight, make this side tight. And we want to do this one more time. So it should look like this. And we want to come back up through the clasp and go back down. So now the thread should be coming out of that single bead that hasn't been attached yet, but we're going to attach that by going through the string underneath and across. And carefully thread through so you don't miss any of the beads. And come up the one just before the double. And now we want to attach that one bead that was hanging out to form our Y. And we're going to continue through our thread path. And up through. Now at this point where they match, I would make a little knot by going around and I'll go around through and around again. And I'm going to continue along that thread path. And when I get down here, I'm going to come out where that pink bead is. That's enough. And I can clip that off. So we'll come through the pink bead through the silver. We'll come through the pink crystal and the silver bead. It got hung up on the clasp. You can finish these off however you'd like. I've also finished them off with the thread in the center along here. It might be a little bit easier. But I chose this method so that hopefully the little knot would come into the crystal so you wouldn't be able to see it. Okay, and we're going to clip this one off. Okay, let me clear everything away. And there's your ankle bracelet. I hope you did enjoy the demonstration. Please like and subscribe.